This morning, 2 Louisville police officers are recovering, shot during unrest overnight that gripped much of the city's downtown.
You got to make sure it's a fatal shot. I mean, even if you have to double tap.
This gunfire captured in a police live stream in the area where the officers' shooting took place.
Officer down, right there. Officer down.
I am very concerned about the safety of our officers. Obviously.
But you're not concerned about the safety of the citizens in the city when you allow your cops to be able to walk into anybody's house and murder them. We would have less people wanting to fight cops if, the quote-unquote good cops actually arrested the bad cops. But fat trash like this see that, all cops are good no matter what they do.
We've had 2 officers shot tonight, and that is very serious. It's a very dangerous condition.
Anger spilling into the streets after the grand jury decision in the Breonna Taylor case. Louisville under a 9 p.m. curfew, the National Guard moving in as police and protesters clashed.
I bet they requested the assistance of the National Guard before this decision was put into place. They were planning on mass protests going on before the decision was finalized because they knew that these cops were going to get off and that people were going to be mad because a person was murdered and the most that a cop got was wanton endangerment for shooting a wall. So a wall got more justice than a person that was living.
Similar emotions echoing in cities nationwide, from Chicago to Atlanta to New York City, even turning violent in Denver and Buffalo, where cars plowed into protesters, and in Portland, where a Molotov cocktail thrown at police caused chaos.
Protesters should cover the road with nails and tacks and stuff, and if they see a car coming towards them, toss a Molotov at that window.
Taylor, a 26-year-old former EMT, was shot to death back in March when police with a no-knock warrant entered her apartment. She was inside with her boyfriend.
Entered? No, they broke into her apartment. There's 2 different things. Entering would mean they had permission. They broke into the house.
Friend Kenneth Walker. He says police never announced themselves. According to the state's attorney general, officers and a civilian witness say they did.
You'd also have witnesses that say they didn't hear anything. That the cops were that the cops announced that they were police. You do have neighbors calling the cops because they thought a bunch of people broke into their neighboring house and was shooting up the place.
Walker thought they were intruders and fired a shot. Police responded with gunfire, killing Taylor. Of the 3 officers involved, only 1 will face charges, but not for Taylor's death. Former Officer Brett Hankison charged with wanton endangerment for firing bullets into Taylor's apartment that ended up in a neighboring apartment.
He would have been better off if those bullets had actually struck somebody, because then they would have let him off for doing his job of murdering people.
For the other 2 officers, no charges.
According to Kentucky law, the use of force by Mattingly and Cosgrove was justified to protect themselves.
Justified? Okay, so you break into a house, you get shot, and then you murder somebody who had no involvement in the shooting, and somehow it's justified. That makes no sense whatsoever. It would be like some random dude breaking into your house, you shoot them in the leg, and him and his buddies murder your girlfriend or your wife, and then they are considered the defenders because you shot.
There will be celebrities, influencers, and activists who, having never lived in Kentucky, will try to tell us how to feel, suggesting they understand the facts of this case, but they don't.
You obviously don't feel anything about this. Otherwise, you would be upset over the fact that that cops broke into a person's house, murdered a person, and they're getting away with it.
Asked about the case, President Trump praised Kentucky's Attorney General.
Daniel Cameron is doing a fantastic job. I think he's a star. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. I heard that.
I find this funny that justice with the use of violence is not justice, yet Trump supports people murdering protesters, cops murdering people, and our entire United States is based upon the use of violence towards other people, like our military that goes out and murders a bunch of people in order to bring quote-unquote freedom and democracy to other nations.
That I said, write that down for me, please, because I think it was a terrific statement.
But
Also, if violence, if the use of violence to help bring about justice is a bad thing, then the fact that the founding fathers fought against a corrupt government is considered bad because they used violence and they killed police people or, government law enforcers of the British King. So our entire civilization is actually bad.
But for many filling the streets,
Was it surprising for you?
No, it's not surprising. Very rarely do black people get justice when it comes to police.
in a scathing statement,
Yep, that's true. And it's the fact that our system is based upon subjugating and murdering black people in order to benefit the white people in the United States. Cops started out as slave patrollers. The slave patrollers were people, wealthy white people, or people that they would hire to go and beat up slaves for being disobedient. They haven't really changed because they still beat up and murder black people for being disobedient. Because as everybody says, hey, just follow the law and the cops won't brutally murder you.
Attorney Ben Crump, who represents Taylor's family, writes, "How ironic and typical that the only charges brought in this case were for shots fired into the apartment of a white neighbor."
Yeah, because black people have no rights in the United States. But more so, it's the fact that this wall got more justice than a black woman is fucked up. It shows that property means more.
And tonight, the city of Louisville will be under curfew for a second straight night that begins at 9 p.m.
There's an easy way to solve all this. Punish cops for murdering people. If you do that, people wouldn't be upset for cops murdering people and getting away with it.